My name is Dr. James Mark Haney, and I have my own business. Also, though, Fly for Mission Flight, which is a nonprofit aviation humanitarian program. I believe I discovered Aero Marine through possibly a publication when I made a purchase of a Cessna 182 for business purposes back in the pandemic. The main reason for hiring was to legally import a purchase of an aircraft to California and not pay. So, why did I seek out Aero and Marine Tax Professionals? Well, the main purpose is that one, I was legally procuring an aircraft for business purposes, and two, because of that, there's a tax code that allows for avoiding paying a sales tax in the state of California if done properly. And so once we started the process, actually there were two tax events that took place. One was with my own business, my own 182, but also through our mission flight, which procured a rather sizable aircraft that Aero and Marine Tax Professionals were able to help successfully negotiate the process as well and saved that mission group about $65,000 in taxes. So I started out, I believe, with Tom, and then I was transferred over to Julie, who handled the process from A to Z, including the state when they came and contested the tax forgiveness process. However, Aero and Marine Tax Professionals came through beautifully on both of those events. So Tom was instrumental with our mission flight aircraft in that, one, it truly is used for mission purposes and falls under the tax forgiveness guidelines. And number two, it was purchased out of state. And three, though, there is one small step that has to be made, and that is the first flight has to be not into California. It has to be for a business purpose into another location. And we had possibly missed that opportunity, and Tom came to bat along with his team and contested this with the state for up to about 10 months, where they finally came around and said, well, truly, the use of the aircraft is a non-taxable sales event. What I would say clearly to others who are contemplating purchasing an aircraft in California, that you seek their advice in advance of making that transaction. Particularly if your aircraft is to be used for business purposes, there are certain steps that need to be followed. And if any of those steps are not taken, it can be a very costly event for you, the purchaser of that aircraft. So without question, their services on both of my transactions I was involved with were stellar and above what I would call the call of duty. And so on my first purchase, I sought out their guidance in advance and went through the proper steps of procuring the aircraft out of state. And its first flights were made on business out of property I own in different locations, and then came into the state of California under the proper guidelines and steps. And we followed the protocol for a year of documenting its use. And that all went very well, and I don't think we had any hiccups. The mission flight was a little different story. It was a bigger challenge for Aero and Marine Tax Professionals in that the very first flight, we were not aware that the purchase was taking place. And the very first flight came from out of state, but it made it into the States, although it was going into a location for a progressive annual. However, the state of California saw that as a trigger point that the tax was owed, which we then engaged on a payment plan with the state and got into deep in the weeds on those payments. As from that point, I sought out Tom and his wise advice, and he came up with a plan, and we executed that plan, and it came through to fruition, whereby we received complete refund of the tax that we'd already paid to the state of California.